Couldn't believe that. These things happen, right? Technology, sometimes we show up, but technology goes and takes a break. What can we do? We improvise, we adapt, we overcome. So I think that's what this year is about. So welcome everyone to this call. We're going to be talking about brain health. We're going to be talking about improving your life across the board. We will be touching on some health factors. We will be touching on business and entrepreneurial endeavors this year and ideas that we feel that are going to make a big impact this year. I'm joined by the incredible Dr. Bob Rakowski, global expert, multiple business owner, mentor to most of us on this call, are people who have, been fortunate enough to be surrounded by this man to kind of share a concept, share an ingenious concept of health and habit and adding value to the world. We're also going to welcome a new partner, Carl, in was it Missouri? I think it was. Maybe I've got that incorrect, but we'll find out momentarily. But Carl is a new partner, so we want to learn a little bit more about Carl, his journey as well, and looking forward to just connecting with you all today and sharing some time with you. So Dr. Bob, are you in the house?
I am. I'm here, Eric. So thank you a bunch. I always like to tell people that my entire adult life has been really trying to help people get their best life. And, for decades, I did it from a health standpoint. And then the last decade, health and wealth. And I'll tell you what, in that case, that combination is a pretty good combination. So Kelly and I have been married for 33 years. We're phenomenal life partners, business partners, 3 kids, 3 beautiful granddaughters. I've treated world champions from every major professional sport. And I show that foot at the bottom as a teaching tool. That foot was given a death sentence in only 2 days. It was going to be amputated. But we said, no, let's see if we can bring it back and look at the difference 2 weeks later, 17 months later. A big part of that protocol was Ganoderma spores every waking hour, powerfully anti-infective, great for the immune system, great for diabetes. And I've taught doctors all over the world. And, this last couple of years, instead of traveling to 6 different continents, I actually get to be on as many continents as possible now. I mean, we have Australia in the house, we have North America, we have Africa, we have Europe, maybe South America. It's quite interesting, but people all over the place. But we're going to talk about the brain. I had a lot of brain questions this week, and I think people do want better brains. So if we just typed in Ganoderma lucidum and PubMed.gov, now consider these are published medical facts. These are articles written by doctors, reviewed by doctors, published for doctors that lead to standard of care. 73 different studies just on Ganoderma in the brain, thousands on Ganoderma alone. But just imagine that you could do something like this. So, a coffee or tea that you really love, or a shake, and or a hot chocolate for kids. And then we have other options as well. But what if that led to a better brain or body with every delicious sip? Einstein talked about compounding as the 8th wonder of the world. And we have people that on the average drink 3.3 cups of coffee a day. And what if those 3.3 times something really wonderful happened to the brain and body? Well, we know what happens. We've seen it happen with people, and they're living a much better life. This one's kind of a summary slide. Sometimes I can get deep into the research, and I'll share a little bit more. But when you look at this, it's good for serotonin, happiness, GABA for calmness, which is also, by the way, anti-seizure. And we'll have a little extra seizure data in today's presentation. It's good for acetylcholine, which is memory, and it's even anti-Parkinson's, anti-Alzheimer's. Dopamine, by the way, is associated with Parkinson's, acetylcholine with Alzheimer's. It can improve brain stem cells, meaning you can grow new brain tissue. And I called out the anti-seizure here, and I'll come around to that in a moment. If anybody saw the movie Concussion, this was the featured character, Mike Webster. He played 18 different NFL seasons, won 4 Super Bowls, earned millions, ended up in the Hall of Fame. But this was his character in the movie. He didn't know his name, he didn't know his family, and he died homeless under a bridge because his brain was essentially destroyed by the trauma of football. And they even created a new diagnosis. So this is advanced chronic traumatic encephalopathy, inflammation of the brain related to trauma, chronic, it didn't go away. And that scar tissue actually destroyed his brain. While we're talking about Ganoderma, it's been studied in the Alzheimer's brain, and it's known to dissolve these plaques and even improves circulation in the brain. And notice this study says that the spores specifically, and we're one of the few companies that has spores, and we have the most bioavailable spores, can prevent Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. This was a study where they gave rats, because they wouldn't do this to humans, severe concussions. One group of rat got nothing, the other group got Ganoderma spores, and an absolute phenomenal improvement in the dissolving of the brain scar tissue. And fun story here, I was giving a talk, a public talk, and I was talking about health, and I shared this foot and the outcome of that. And someone said, oh my gosh, my friend's mom, is diabetic. She's already had one leg amputated. That's pictured Donna Mae. She's in a chair because one leg was amputated. She has a wound that's not healing on the other foot. And they're saying, well, that one's going to be amputated soon as well. Well, started her on Ganoderma tea and I think some capsules, and not big doses, but within 2 weeks, the foot had healed. Within 3 months, the blood sugar balance was to the point where she was no longer diabetic, and her memory was completely restored. And her family got 3 extra quality years. She had very significant dementia, couldn't remember her children's name. So I always ask people, what would it be worth to get you an extra day with your mother, let alone 2 quality years? Back to this concept of concussion. If someone takes a hit to the head, Ganoderma can decrease the inflammatory process, swelling, and even the degeneration, the breakdown of the nerve tissue. And a couple of cases. This is Michael Morris. He was basically told he was going to die. They called his kids into the ICU and said, say goodbye to your dad. He won't live through the evening. And I filmed him in my office. He just happened to be there the day that Evan Holyfield was there, future Hall of Famer. But Michael Morris said, I felt good enough to jog home from the hospital at 21 days. Very powerful there. And testimonials are good. So I'm actually going to play. Okay, we are rolling. Happy, beautiful day. We have January 30th, 2018. I have Mr. Stephen Teal here. I first saw him 21 days ago, January 9th. So what was going on with you on January 9th?
Well, I came in with a problem with my head. I had 5 concussions.
5 concussions?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I've had 2 this year, this past football season, and it's been going on for about 3 months, and I didn't really think it was any help. And my mom found Dr. Bob, and I learned anxiety and depression and headaches and just everything I couldn't sing. My memory was completely gone. I kind of felt hopeless, and I came to Dr. Ball's office, and he fixed me. And for 3 weeks, I started crying because it's just everything felt so much better. My brain felt so much clearer.
Okay, for clarity, Dr. Bob doesn't fix. He just takes stress out of the body. And so God actually does the healing, right? So we don't want to take any credit for that. But at any rate, how fabulous this is. Do you have advice for future patients?
I definitely recommend it, because most doctors don't really get the same thing that Dr. Bob has, and I just really recommend it. It's awesome.
So just for the record, what we did is we actually worked on his skull, because he had the pain of an ice pick pain. That's how you described it, right? And then his neck was messed up too, as you might guess. So that's good chiropractic care. The skull was cranial manipulation. And then we gave him no nutrients to dissolve what's technically called amyloid plaque in the brain. And how much better is your overall thinking, memory, mood, all that?
On a scale of 1 to 100, probably 100. I'm not even kidding.
Beautiful. And that's, by the way, Grandma having a beautiful chuckle in the background. So do I have your permission to share this information with doctors, students, and patients everywhere?
For sure, absolutely.
Any conditions on that?
No.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
So, imagine that you are in a circumstance where you have horrific pain, you're depressed, light hurts your eyes, you can't remember anything, and the doctors are saying, well, hopefully it goes away, just whatever. And Mom was very, very worried because he said, my gosh, if this is my life, I don't want to live. And then notice 3 weeks later, 100% better. And we give him Ganoderma spores every waking hour. Also gave him a herb called huperzine and some good fish oils and things like that. Activated fish oils resolve in form. I tell people we're not a one-trick pony, but Ganoderma is a part of every one of our protocols. So Notice this study here, this is the exact language. People who took Ganoderma lucidum, a distinct trend in improved levels of happiness and satisfaction and reduced depression. Daily doses of happiness with coffee or tea. I'm glad I'm not a rat, but they ultimately put these rats in what's called a chronic social defeat stress model. They put them in a circumstance with big, bully, probably different breed rats where they can't win at anything. They can't win the food, they can't win the girls, and they're always being intimidated, and they get powerfully depressed, and they can measure it in terms of brain chemistry and even see it in terms of activity. But notice what it said. This is the title of the article. Ganoderma lucidum ameliorated, made better depression-like behaviors in the chronic social defeat stress-dependent model. I wonder if you know anybody that feels like they're being socially defeated by policies or other things at this point. Take some Ganoderma. And I don't know why they do this, but they have something called the forced swim test. They see how long the rat will swim before it gives up. Hopefully they pull it out, give it mouth to mouth and say, thanks for the experiment. But what happened very, very simply is when they gave them Ganoderma, they kept trying longer. They just kept after it, to see that they could ultimately have hope of getting better. The reason I pull up the reference on Ganoderma and Cancer, 500 plus studies here, is this beautiful lady was actually, had pancreatic cancer. That was a picture of her before then, and her daughter and granddaughter. But within days of consuming Ganoderma coffee, Mariola had filmed the wonderful quality of life. But what's so interesting is she was giving her daughter, Alessandra, hot chocolate. And she just said, Mommy, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. How interesting that a hot chocolate could make someone happy. So reduce your anxiety, reduce depression, boost happiness, boost hope, boost mental focus, boost concentration, and boost the health of your entire body in an easy and delicious fashion. We start looking at autism, it's definitely a scourge on our planet. I could actually go through, and I've given an hour-long lecture of how Ganoderma pulls toxins, reduces diabetes, helps fat loss, balances hormones, can kill infection, modulate autoimmunity. It's considered near perfect nutrition, and it's even anti-aging. And all of those things are in the medical literature. But I'm going to point to this one specifically. This is a fascinating study. These were drug addicts in Southern California in the early 1980s. They injected a synthetic heroin called MPTP, and they all woke up the next day with Parkinson's. Well, the doctors said, well, this really sucks for you, but we want some of that drug. And they said, what are you crazy? What do you want the drug for? And they said, well, maybe someday we can find a cure for Parkinson's. Well, that happened at least in 2018 for MPTP-induced Parkinson's, because when they gave people this horrible drug that would kill the cells of the brain along with Ganoderma, they didn't get Parkinson's. So Ganoderma can protect the most vulnerable tissue in your body against some of the worst toxins, and many others have been studied, and how phenomenal that people get better with Ganoderma. It also is a regenerative therapeutic. That's from stem cell reports. It can grow new brain tissue. And then how about the anticonvulsant and neuroprotective effects? This boy had a brain trauma, and mom brought him in and said, you know what, they've got him on 3 different seizure meds. We're not in control of the seizures. Do you think natural medicine can help? Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people that are picky eaters when they're 4 and 5 years old. But he loved our hot chocolate. He loved our chocolate shakes, the spore capsules they could mix in other things, gave him a chewable multi and omega-3s. And guess what? He was seizure-free and off of medication at 6 months. Have that video as well, mom giving a testimonial. Fire Captain Brian Figuera showed up on a scene. Michelle Harris was having a seizure. As he was wheeling her out, he says, you know what, I want you to reach out to me because I may have something that could help. It has nothing to do with the Toronto Fire Department, but, let's see. And switched her over to coffee, and basically her seizures resolved with consistent Ganoderma. And I love this testimonial since I did mention autism. This is from April DeMille. I'm forever thankful for Organo. My son has not only improved with his focus and his attention, but his anxiety has decreased and his moods have improved. By the way, we call it all those things in the PubMeds. And basically there he is helping his dad build a skate ramp. And then notice what she says. He was diagnosed with autism. My autistic, anxiety, panic-ridden, ADHD-defiant child wants to work as a shoe salesman, where he didn't want to interact with anybody previously. So how absolutely amazing what a hot chocolate can do. And finally, Organo is partnering with a brain technology called Neuro Tracker. And what they've proven over 20 years of studies in every demographic is that you can get a better brain in 6 minutes a day. And the improvement is very measurable after 15 different sessions. So they use it to train elite athletes. They use it for recovery, to monitor recovery of pediatric head injuries, brain injuries. They monitor recovery of professional athletes, and they can even improve cognitive function and quality of life of the elderly. Also shown to help with ADD, ADHD in kids, and even addiction. So how fascinating that we have something so amazing, so available, so little known. And I promise you, the world needs it. You know, one of the things I'm doing this year, I will do 500 Neuro Tracker sessions. That means, you know, every day at least one, and, you know, whatever it is, 135 days at least 2. And now I'm going to stop the screen share, and we've got our wonderful friend, Carl Tart. And Carl, in a matter of a few minutes, I'd like to know what is it that you love about the Organo products, and what are you most hopeful for?
All right, can you hear me, Doc?
Loud and clear.
All right, how you doing today, man? All right, let me break down a little bit of my experience with Ganoderma. Actually, I'm a lupus patient, and I go through a lot. I go through seizures, chronic pain, inflammation, name it, I get it for some reason. Randomly, once my immune system is down, my body attacks itself. So for the past couple of weeks, I've been taking Ganoderma, and I noticed a whole lot of positive changes. Like my brain actually stays focused longer. Usually I have a short attention span to where I'm just like, all right, jump to the next thing, go ahead and do what I'm going to do and everything. But I've been getting things done in a timely fashion too. So, but I have to get endurance in my system. Say if I'm sitting down, I'm watching one of my videos for school and everything, because Dr. Bob is helping me with my mentorship. Actually, I'm an expiring, my goal is to be a sports medicine doctor. I actually can sit there and read my chapters and take my notes right away without being distracted. I don't have to jump all over the place, and my body is nice and relaxed. I notice after the fact that I work out, once I take my protein, it seems to set in a bit faster and a bit better, to where my recovery is a lot better too. Really enjoying the products from Organo Gold. I can't say that I don't love them, but I do, and they actually taste good too, because most health food, you know, you're kind of like, it tastes like cardboard, so I ain't eating no more of it. So I'm looking forward to it and everything. Nice, deeper experience with it. Another thing I've also noticed too is a real positive change in my attitude and the way I see things towards goal setting, this living life. I'm not so quick to give up and get depressed like I would, which is something that's natural in the lupus patient. Not so quick to get angry either. I think things over a little more. I said, let me really think, pause for a second. I give it to God for a second. I said, God, is this all right? No. Okay, all right. Then I do things a little bit smarter, not a little bit, a lot bit smarter than what an old car would. And I'm looking forward to expanding my knowledge. And thank you, Dr. Bob. Also, thank you, Ms. Grace Barkwell, who brought me into the program. She's a great woman, real sweet. Grace is Grace. Miss Diane also. I really appreciate you guys. And my family from Connecticut, South Carolina, and Florida that are actually on the Zoom meeting right now. Thank you. I love you so much just for being here. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Bob so he can go ahead and continue on the meeting.
Well, you know what, Carl, I'm super proud of you, and I'm super proud of Grace. So, you know, think about this. Grace, I'm going to ask you to tell the story. How did you meet Carl, and then how did you get to join our team? It's absolutely fascinating. It seems like you utilize resources. You said, well, I want you to talk to Miss Diane. She's an orthomolecular nutritionist. I want you to talk to Dr. Bob. But go ahead and unmute and tell that wonderful story.
Well, Dr. Bob, I have a group on Facebook that is about health, how to get better health. And it was originally about fat loss, but I changed it to be generally how to get better health. And Carl just talked to me on there, and I told him about our products, and I told him, you know, to talk to Diane, and I think Diane and I had a conversation, and then I asked him to a Zoom, and he met you, and then he contacted you, and then he signed up with me. And so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm looking forward to talking to more people on that group, because I did post this Zoom and invited people from that group to this Zoom.
Well, Grace, one, I want to give you a huge shout out, Carl, as well. But here's what I want you to know, and think about this law. It's called the law of cause and effect. Maybe we call it the law of sowing and reaping. So Grace put out some information, says, I want to improve the health of the world. Carl said, I want to improve my health. And then just walking along, introducing to people, introducing to information, and Carl's life is dramatically better. And by the way, you know, he sends me a few messages and we go back and forth, and he says, well, you know, I'm a lupus patient. I said, well, why don't we work on saying, well, at one time I was diagnosed with lupus, but that's in complete remission now and forever, because we've seen that happen with a lot of patients. And you know, that's our ultimate plan. And just imagine how powerful that testimonial will be to everybody else. You know, people that see him, he's creating a good social media following. Someone that had very significant challenges, health, focus, concentration, suddenly building a global team and sharing health around the world. Really fabulous. You know, there's so many people that could share a few things for the fun of it. I think I want to see if Louise, you know, I love your story and you tell it so well. So what was your experience?
Oh my God, Dr. Bob, which one? I mean,
Well, let's go back 8 years ago. Tell me about your 8 years before Organo and where you currently are. So.
Right, okay. So 8 years ago, diagnosed with chronic pain and fatigue. Got to the point where over the last year, I've not been able to work, had to give up my job. I own my own salon, but haven't been able to do the manual side of things. Struggled to get out of bed. Walking was an issue. Fibro fog, couldn't sleep, to the point that I was so depressed, contemplated taking my own life. So where am I now? Drinking coffee like it's going out of fashion. And I'm pain-free. I'm exercising in the gym every day. I've got focus, mental clarity. I'm doing 3 courses all at the same time. I'm back behind the chair in the salon. And I don't know what you've done to my son, Dr. Bob, but we started him on the spores on Wednesday following our call on Tuesday. And bearing in mind that Sunday, Monday and Tuesday were the most horrific days that Finley has had. On Wednesday, he didn't have a great day at school at all, but Thursday and Friday, his teacher actually approached us and went, he's a different child. He is calm. He's had the best day he's ever had. And I don't know who this child is that's sat on my sofa right now. I'm not a child. All right, sorry. This teenager is, he's not a child. This teenager is that sat on my sofa, but I've never seen him this calm, ever. So bring it on.
Oh, wonderful. So now here's the teaching tool. I tell people bodies respond to frequency, duration, intensity, quality, and timing of stimuli. And we want to take advantage of all those. So can you take spores every hour? Well, I say take 2 capsules every waking hour. Understand you could take 2 whole bottles. You could take 180 every waking hour and not cause a problem. You know, in animal studies, they give more than 4,000 doses a day for weeks on end without challenges, no known toxicity, no known drug interaction. So when he was feeling bad, it's almost like his chemistry flipped. You know, he probably killed some bad bugs, viral infected cells, maybe parasites, started clearing some toxins. And that can be a little challenging. But I think if we asked him, hey, were those 3 days of yuck worth what you can look forward to the rest of your life? And I might just ask him that, if you can hear it. Were 3 days worth of yuck worth the changes that he experiences already?
Finley, you had 3 bad days at school, didn't you? And then how was Thursday and Friday and today? Were they good days? Yeah. How does Finley feel?
Typical teenager.
Love it. Love it. All right. So we might
That's
just
about as much as you'll get out of him.
yeah. Well, that's one, great parenting, because I'll tell you what, when there's a lot of teens, we might ask them, hey, do this every waking hour, and they go, no, you know, but he did it. So good stick-to-itiveness for him. Great parenting from you. Anybody else want to offer anything? And other than that, we'll say a few words about how you can join our team and impact the world, and we'll wrap it up. Anybody else have anything they want to offer on this beautiful day? Glad to see my friend Brenda. Brenda, you've been hacked a couple times. I'm going to assume it's you, but good to see you. Now you're on the beach. So there you are. It's actually
me.
Brenda.
Wow.
Brenda, you want to tell your story?
My story is that I started with Ganoderma in 2015. And up until that time, I had been sick almost every other month with sinusitis, bronchitis, allergies, asthma. And in May of 2017, I was able to throw away most of my medications. And so I am a strong proponent of Ganoderma, what it does. I am a registered nurse. I am an ordained minister. I am a supervisor of 22 churches in my denomination in the Houston and vicinity area. And so I wouldn't lie to you. I wouldn't make it up. And I highly recommend, if anyone is really interested in improving their health, that they will continue and to try our organo products. I know you won't be disappointed. And of course, we thank God for Dr. Bob and his team and all of you. Thank you for taking the time to listen, because in the health field, you really don't get this kind of information that can be life-saving and can be something that will change your life. It's not for everyone, but hopefully if you try it, it might just help. And so thank you for taking the time to listen. Thank you, Dr. Bob.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And you inspired me to say something else. There's a virus that I won't name that's out there. And people were concerned about it. So February of 2020, they sent me information, Dr. Bob, should I worry about this? And the answer is absolutely not. Worry doesn't do anything good for your brain, body, or spirit, but you should be proactive. Eat right, drink right, think right, move right, sleep right, poop right, talk right every single day. And there were over 30 agents that were proven, natural agents and a few drugs, mostly natural, for the first version of this virus. So I told people, okay, I've done some digging. I've checked with world-class immunologists. Here are the top 5. Ganoderma lucidum. Guess what? There's a study out that shows that it's proven against this virus. In fact, there are 3 of them. Colostrum. There are studies out that are proven against this virus. Vitamin D, proven against this virus. Zinc, proven against this virus. Vitamin C, proven against this virus. And I had a patient whose wife had a very bad case. She was in the hospital, and they said, she gets any worse, we're going to put her on a ventilator. And, he asked me, he said, would you Zoom with the doctor? I said, of course, I'd Zoom with them. And all I did is I went to PubMed, and I had all the studies in queue. I said, here's what Ganoderma does against it. Here's how it works. Here's what colostrum does against it. Here's what vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc. He says, all right, you proved it to me. We'll start it. Well, not only did she not go on a ventilator the next day, she went home the next day and made a complete recovery. And with that protocol, we haven't even had a patient that has ended up in the hospital. So I want you to think about that. And the vast majority of our patients have not taken the experimental shot. If I take a poll, it's going to be around 90%. And so the natural immunity wins. And there's conversations now, they're wondering, doctors have known for decades that natural immunity is best. Why is it that no major group is saying, hey, natural immunity is best? We all need to ask ourselves that question. And here's what we're proving. It is best. So now, in terms of this business, what I tell people is it starts with you falling in love with the product. And so whoever invited you to this Zoom or the replay or what you're watching on Facebook Live, go back to them and say, I want to try some of this product. And then when people fall in love with it, here's what I tell them. You have 3 options. You can be a retail customer Whoever sampled you is happy to sell it to you. You could be a wholesale buyer. It turns out if you're in the US or North America this month in January, we have a 2022 sign up special. You can sign up, get 1 year of wholesale benefits for $20.22. Normally the first year is $49.95, $25 every year after that, but that special is until the end of January. And then guess what? You can get paid to consume and share the product. That's what I've decided. That's what Eric and Issa have decided. That's what Grace has decided. That's what Carl has decided. That's what many others have decided. And let's face it, if you were to ask people, are you looking for better health? Are you looking for more wealth? And by the way, would you like it easy and delicious and things that people automatically do every day, never need to be reminded, never plan to quit? Yeah, I think most people are going to say yes. And so, by the way, Louise's amazing testimonial, she did that with coffee. She was just drinking coffee and then off of 8 medications with significant disability and poor outlook to phenomenal response, back to working, back to taking classes, back to loving life. And now that has paid forward to her son. How wonderful is that? So if you're interested in the business, we do Zooms like this multiple times a week. We have different Facebook groups. We have lots of tools. We're more than happy to teach you and train you how to do this. And by the way, there's a Facebook group called OG Academy, my OG Academy. And tomorrow I have the training. So I will train about the business and I'm happy to do that. So I like to finish with 4 questions and here they are. First question is why? Why'd you take the time to be on this Zoom today? There's so many other things you could do. Well, the second question is the answer to the first. Why not? Why not connect to a group of people that are dedicated to adding value to the world? Third question, why not you? Someone's going to say yes, and they're going to start experiencing health benefits. And if they say yes, they'll also experience wealth benefits. And here's the final question, why not now? The longer you wait to act on information, the least likely you are to act on it. So right now, get back to whoever referred you, and let's get the process started. As always, I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, absolutely knowing that we can all be happy, healthy, and successful. So good night if you're in that part of the world. Good day if you're in this part of the world. And God bless all.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. Thank you all, guys. See you